Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. This is episode 438 of the show. And with me, I am your host, Sean Garman. With me, as usual, is Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, we do have some things to talk about today. I have beaten South of Midnight, so I'll talk about that. Mark is continuing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. We've got some discussion on Marathon and its presumed price and talking about some of the stuff that they showed in the game or about the game. And then also Nintendo's Switch 2 stuff continues to come out about, pricing with games, what's going to be in certain games and Switch 2 editions. Are the Switch 2 editions actually on the cart or not? That kind of thing. Xbox's Summer Showcase date has been revealed. We'll talk about maybe some games that they're going to show on that thing. And a few more things, all that and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so let's go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way here so that we move through this quickly. So you can, of course, listen to this show as a podcast. It comes out pretty quickly right after we do the actual live stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, which you can go watch that live if you'd like. Mondays around the 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish time. On those aforementioned channels, you can just watch later on demand on the YouTube channel as well. WTO Network there. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel. You not only get what we do here with Video Games to the Max, but if you like other things like movies and TV shows, anime, we have shows for that. Otaku Cafe handles all the anime stuff. They just did their top 10 anime of the winter season and giving out their awards for the winter season as the spring season pretty much started like a week ago. So go check them out if you're a big anime fan, especially if you watch the regular seasonal stuff. And also you got the movies and TV stuff with the Voucher Broadcasting folks. They just did their Minecraft movie review. So you can go check that out as well. And they go pretty in depth on things, not just talking about the movie, but the other things around it, like, the sales and box office, all that stuff. Other people's reviews and things like that. So definitely they do a great job of handling that. So if you're into entertainment stuff, they do that over there. And they do some wrestling and other things in there too. So, but yeah, let's keep it about video games here. And let's talk about the games to start out with. I guess, Mark, how goes your Assassin's Creed Shadows journey there?
I finally hit chapter 3.
Finally hit chapter 3. So how many chapters are in the game?
Probably 48 or something. No, I don't know.
What? That's
I'm
crazy.
kidding. It's probably 3 or 4. I mean, probably 4. Because I assume maybe 4 would be the epilogue or, where they just dump you back into the world. I am still continuing to kill guys in that
There
game.
are 14 chapters in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Really?
Yes.
That's incredibly depressing to me.
With
then.
87 main quests.
Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, we had this game for 2 months.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding. I killed this guy, and it's okay, you killed all the middle ring guys. This is the end of chapter 2. And I was like, cool. And then it's oh god, there's 12 more.
So does that mean that the side quests have been enticing you to keep going down that route?
I mean, it's not really side quests. It's just kind of content, and it's kind of repeated. Go clear up this camp or this castle, or go find these missing pages that don't actually matter at all, or stuff like that. But it's really the game design. The game world is really well designed because every 200 to 300 meters is something else for you to go do. So you just get on this kick or this, just keep heading northwest, I guess, until these question marks run out, and then I go do something else.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing to kill guys in that game, and it's I killed this guy, and it's oh, he was a part of this other hidden, faction, or I'm like, oh my god, the quest system, or the target system is like I have like 23 of these circles on my map, or on my in my menu, and it's like I don't even know half of these are, because it's just like, oh, you just kill this guy and he's part of some secret organization. They didn't even know what it is. I'm all right, sure.
Got it.
I still like it.
You spell it out,
Yeah, I mean, I should send you the screenshots because it doesn't even fill one screen. It has to fill two different screens.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still at it. I still got an embargo game I can't talk about until next week, hopefully.
All right.
And I got I bought. Well, I didn't. I traded in for it. I got a boxed Super Game Boy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I already had a Super Game Boy, like a loose one, but this is like the boxed in one, so that's cool.
Hey, that's always cool to get a new.
Super
Are
Nintendo game.
you getting the Lunar Collection remaster on?
I'm hoping to.
Thursday,
Yeah.
or?
I probably won't get it quite when it comes out, but I like that game. I like those games, so hope to get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably, since I don't have to buy was it Clair Obscure, because that's on Game Pass. I probably will buy Lunar.
Yeah.
Just to support them remastering 2 RPG classics like that.
Right.
Kind of similar to what I did with Suikoden 1 and 2, even though I did have an intention of playing those on my vacation, it just didn't happen. But we'll see. I mean, I do have that week where before Clair Obscure comes out, so I might actually delve into some Lunar and talk about it on next week.
Sure.
For sure. So that'll be what I'm looking forward to there. But as far as this, I mean, anything else for this week?
Yeah, not really. I played more Split Fiction with Jens, and still good. I think we're kind of nearing the end, but probably got at least 1 or 2 more game sessions to go.
Hey, that's good. At least you're almost done with that there.
Yep.
All right. Well, I did finish out South of Midnight. So yeah, it has a fantastic story. It's just kind of sad again that it gets bogged down by the combat, which is extremely repetitive. And one note, they fill these arenas with monsters. It can cause you to die. It's not like it doesn't get it's not challenging. I would say just like there's a lot going on. So you kind of have to keep track of all these haints that are in the arena that you're in. And then some of these arenas are really small, but they all kind of look similar until you get to the last 3 chapters of the game are fantastic because you're sent to this different world that is away from the rest of the game, because it's like in this dream world sort of.
Is it New York City?
No, but it's like you're supposed to be like in the realm of the dead or whatever, and it's like this kind of like futuristic London almost, with like a lot of like you're going in and like a clock tower and going up the clock tower, and there's a lot of platforming in this section, and you just have to keep going up and up, and then there's sections where like there's just nothing there and you're having to wall run and do all this, and like, man, that was really cool, and I love that part to get to there. And then of course the story ramps up as well. Do a great job of kind of like wrapping it up or getting you to the like where they ramp up, and then unfortunately the story just abruptly ends. It's like there's no true like, okay, yeah, we kind of know they're fine, right? Like the tribulations that they went through are over, quote unquote, right? But like there's no connective tissue with the characters that you meet in the game, and there's like, I'm expecting like for the lack of a better thing that I can think of right now, like those moments in Fast and the Furious at the end of the movies where like they all kind of sit down at the table or they all have something together, like you don't get got here.
The game is missing Vin Diesel.
Yeah, that too.
He's
But
a giant frog, actually. So
that's maybe that is truth. And it's also kind of weird that the that character that they showed in the initial trailer only has a really small part in this game.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. What his job is also interesting, but it's just like, wow, they showed him off to only have him be in like 5 minutes of the game. Okay.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's a consequence of like cut content, or
it just really feels like, I want to know. I hope that if you're going to do a 30-minute documentary on this game, please tell me that you're going to eventually do some kind of thing where you explain, somebody is allowed to explain what happened here, because the way the game ends just feels like somebody said, okay, whatever y'all are doing, y'all got to get to a stopping point, wrap it up. This game has to come out April 8th. There is no more letting this game simmer and come out in July or whatever.
Right.
It was, this game is coming out April 8th. Whatever y'all get to, that's it. And it does feel like there are things in the combat that could have been more fleshed out. There are things, the skill tree feels like you're not going to get. I don't think there's a way for you to, unless you just explore. Maybe, I know there's a lot of the little readable things I didn't get. There's at least 50 of those that I didn't find.
Yeah.
I don't know how many more floofs are around that I didn't find, because I explored quite a bit. It also makes it really easy because it has that thing where you follow the path. And if you go the opposite way, you're most likely going to find the little floof to get your
Right.
currency for the skill tree. I didn't max it out completely, but I got to the end of it, and then basically all that was left was some upgrades for the individual powers that you don't really need, because again, the game is not.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Shadows gives you so many skill points that it becomes almost like a farce.
Oh, you definitely go through the skill tree fast.
I mean, I haven't gone through it all because of it's like, oh, individual weapons or weapon types have skill trees. So it's like, I don't care about like the big gun that Yasuke can have, but
Right.
like when you go through like a castle, you got to kill these samurais. And when you kill one of those, you get a skill point, and then you get skill points for doing some quests as well and other stuff. So like, I play as Nawe most of the time, but when I switch to him, it's like, oh, now I have 94 skill points to distribute. Great. Too bad I can't just automate this, or
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, do you think that like that's kind of been a problem of Microsoft's games? I wouldn't say lately, but as a general rule, like them not finishing well, or just kind of finishing abruptly, or like seemingly like not ending correctly. Like Recore, remember that thing?
Yeah.
Or
that's a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's emblematic. Or well, didn't it have something else that kind of like ended funky?
Yeah, the thing is, they do.
I mean, I don't think it's like a money problem, but I think it really is like a time. Like they don't, like certain studios don't know how to manage their time correctly, or like.
I think it feels like it's. I don't know, because remember that until Redfall, they had that like really hands-off approach with the games, right? So they're part of that 2018 class that also includes Obsidian and whatever. And so like this is one of those games that they were just letting cook until, I guess, now they decided that they needed to like get involved more and kind of be like, okay, where y'all at? Where's this game coming out? Kind of thing. We need to start like having a rollout for this year. And they probably felt like, okay, this game is going on long enough that like that's enough. That you don't need anymore.
Right.
Like it doesn't need to go much further. It just sucks that it feels like, why didn't you guys let them have an ending?
Yeah. Well, like I said, they'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I maybe that's it. Maybe they were hoping it would do well enough on Game Pass or in purchases that they could sell you a DLC later. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess because there's Wrath.
I don't think that that's going to happen with this game because sadly, when I beat it, now to be fair, the game has only officially been out for less than a week. I got the early access version because it was $9, and I needed to also talk about it on the other podcast that I guested on last week. So, which I'll talk about in a second, but it just feels like there was part of it that was just. I just want to know what the story is with what is this your intended ending because it feels like it's not. And that kind of sucks. And then also it's just like, was that combat always supposed to be like the combat's fine, right? But it's like, okay, it's getting compared a lot to Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah.
Kena Bridge of Spirits had really good combat. And that game gets hard at certain points. Right? Like there's an answer to each one of those enemies in that game. There's not any of that here. You're doing the exact same thing in combat every single time in this game. And it's fine. You can even turn it off if you want and you want to just experience the story. And maybe that's what Compulsion is going for is they were like, well, if this gets annoying for people, they can just turn it off. But I don't know. That's a big piece of the gameplay that you're telling people, yeah, you can just turn that off.
I mean, at that point, they should just sell the game or sell like a physical version with like a YouTube link inside and go like, you watch it, or just sell the Blu-ray.
Yeah, it isn't. That is the kind of like interesting that they did that. I was just kind of like, okay, weird decision there, but I think the platforming is fine enough. I know there's people that like apparently also hate the platforming as well. But I think that gets more of a bad rap because it's fine for what it is. It's just, it's meant to be, all that seems to be meant to be a vehicle to get you to experience a story, which is really well written and really well done. And I got to give them credit for that. Like, Compulsion delivered on the story this time. I think that they didn't deliver with Contrast or We Happy Few, I feel like. But again, it's also emblematic of their other games that I talked about last week of they want to tell you something about the game and then they don't, the gameplay is not fleshed out that much at all. This is definitely their best game. Hopefully from here, whether it's a South of Midnight 2, I don't think it's going to be that unless Microsoft just greenlights it anyway. But this is definitely not going to, the only thing I could see them getting a 2 is if this game was definitely made to get awards, very much like Hellblade 2. Like, but then this thing is probably going to get musical, a soundtrack nomination, art style nomination, maybe a narrative nomination or a Games for Impact nomination. If it wins things, maybe that pushes Microsoft, considering we're talking about Game Pass here. This is a Game Pass game. It's very well, as far as a Game Pass game, this is perfect for that. I would not tell you to go buy this, even though it's $40. This is perfect for get a subscribe for a month on Game Pass. Maybe wait till, if you're interested in Clair Obscur as well, which comes out at the 24th, get both, subscribe on the 24th. You can play both games for a month and you'll be good. Hey, what's up, Cube? How you doing? So I was also on One Eye Fair podcast that I listen to every week. They have been around longer than us. They've been around since 2005. One of the OG video game podcasts, the Video Game Outsiders. They just joined the Yogscast network, the Pickaxe side of it. But they've been around for a long time. John and Michelle had me on. I really appreciate being on there. They have their own style. They definitely are the folks that they get a little excited. I want to say, they sometimes get in yelling match, but it makes it fun, And so they recently had their third co-host that they've had for a long time. He decided to step away, his family and things like that. So they've kind of been trying out different people. And I, again, lucky enough that I got to be on one of these weeks But everybody they've had on so far since the beginning of the year they've been pretty good. So it's going to be interesting what they decide to end up doing in the summer, as far as if they do a third host or they just kind of keep a revolving door around or whatever. But yeah, go check them out. Video Game Outsiders, they're fantastic folks. And yeah, you can go join their Discord. Has a great community that I always like talking to people in. So I'll put links in there for the description for people to go check those out when I get done recording here. But yeah, that's it for me playing this week. Now I'm done with South of Midnight, and I'm waiting around. Like I said, probably play Lunar, get back to Xenoblade Chronicles. Talk about that next week. So
yeah.
But all right. I guess since we're talking about games, I know you didn't really watch any of this. Or I don't know if you did since I talked to you. Since it wasn't it's not like these videos that they had were super long.
Right. But no.
But Bungie did reveal Marathon that they said they would do on Saturday. Honestly, the way they revealed this thing and the way they've cut up videos for it, it's like, I don't understand why they didn't just make this a 30-minute showcase with somebody talking through it or something. Because it's like they did a trailer. They did an 8-minute story thing there where they try to be like really kind of cryptic about what they're doing. They try to, it does seem really cool. Like Bungie has this way of telling stories that make the premise seem very cool, like very interesting. And then the problem is that the way they end up telling the story is not always great when you get to the actual game.
Right.
I think that that's going to be another thing here as well. It's like this city that's like magically vanished, and you're supposed to be trying to find out what's going on with them, but the situation is that the government doesn't want them to find out, so you're kind of trying to find out at the same time. And then it was interesting the way they dropped it, at least for that. The game is a PvP extraction shooter, if you didn't know that already. Straight up, they're trying to make this.
That's why I didn't watch it.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to make this their version of Escape from Tarkov. Like, try to see if they can have that like kind of futuristic looking art style, which I do think that also is a little bit gravitated me a bit towards at least wanting to watch some of it. I like that the art style that it uses. The problem is that it's a PvP extraction shooter. It does have PvE in it. They have AI bots that are also there bothering you, along with the different like groups of actual controlled players that are playing it. It's meant to be played 3v3, but you can play by yourself. So if you want to play solo, you can. There aren't any like creatable characters, so they're all like sort of like character classes that you can choose. There is some customizable elements with it. The story is going to be kind of like lore drops, so don't expect outside, I think, of the initial whatever cutscene or blah 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 that they have. Don't expect anything like crazy with that.
Yeah, you can just fact don't expect anything.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with it is that from all the other, like, Skill Up went and played it. GameSpot had Timur Hussein go play it. IGN had somebody, Kind of Funny had Paris and a few other people playing it that were invited by Bungie to go. And then apparently Paris and some other people like Dr. Lupo have been like in the creator program for this for like 2 or 3 years now. Or even further on, because obviously this was originally a 90s Mac trio of games that they then decided to like redo to turn into an extraction shooter. So like they've been kind of taking tips with that, and everybody's been saying this feels like Destiny 1. Like, there's not a hook to this. They're kind of just hoping that we make good shooter and people will come and play because we're Bungie. And the problem is, and I guess this is where we can actually have a discussion on this, is that they're not backing down from the rumor that it has existed for at least a year now that this is going to be a $40 game. Yeah. This is not going to be free to play. And there was some reporting that this was going to be a full price game, and then they came out and be like, no, this is going to be a premium game. So it's not going to be 70, but 40 ain't that cheap either. When you're talking about a game that who knows how much shelf life it's going to have, right?
None. I'm going to be the pessimist, but I think this thing's going to crash out. Maybe not as quickly as Concord, but 2 months.
I will give it more. I'll give it at least. They're going to last at least a year before they figure out we've really got to put this under the hood. And yeah,
you'll give it a year before it goes free to play because the player counts like 800 people or something.
Yeah, just because it's Bungie, they have fans that are innately gonna buy this thing, they want to play the next thing Bungie's gonna make that's not Destiny. They can start from the beginning, and
but it's not like
helpful.
It's not what fans of Bungie want. Like if you ask 100 fans of Bungie, like, hey, what do you want? They're not going to say, oh, an extraction shooter with light story content.
Oh, definitely not. There's a lot of people complaining that they just wish they would make a single player game again. That's not going to happen. I'll tell you that right. It just the way that company's built, they're built to be a live service, and that's why Sony bought them. So, unfortunately, whether you want to or not, this has to hit. This has to be a big deal. If not, I don't know, man. Bungie will still be around, but they will definitely have a lot less weight as far as being a Sony studio. Like, they will become a Sony studio for sure.
Well, yeah, but that's not. I mean, it's the same thing I've always said. Like, fans tell you what you want, and
yeah,
it doesn't matter that Sony bought them to be, Destiny 2 content maker forever. Like, even Destiny 2 fans, it's not like a growing segment.
Well, to be fair, they also brought them to be the people that were going to tell the other studios how to make their live service game amazing. Right?
Yeah, look how well that worked out. I mean,
no, obviously it didn't. It didn't work out.
I think the problem is like Sony wants to I have this mentality that like, oh, we have these people making live service games. We have all the right ingredients so they can knock out 12 games no problem. And it's like, yo, the audience is fickle. Like, I don't think anyone Sony expected Helldivers 2 to do that well. But audiences change and audiences want what they want. It's not like you can't like force feed us or force feed people like, hey, we got a new live service game. It's based on an old IP that barely anyone knows or cares about anymore, especially the people who played it back then.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, oh, it's only in name only. It doesn't any of the old bullshit that Marathon used to have. So go eat it up. Go spend $40 on an untested franchise that
they're hoping it's a franchise, right?
Well, an untested IP that good. I mean, yeah, it's just insanity. Like, they want live service money, but it's like, well, none of those hit correctly, or very few of them, and the amount of money you're wasting on this crap, you could have been making single player games that you would have actually got a good return on your investment.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wonder. Sony being a single player, mostly. I mean, they've, for the most part, everything that they've done multiplayer wise outside of Helldivers 2, they've already canceled. Everything we've seen or heard from, they already delayed Fair Games.
Yeah,
which is the other one that's kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Does that studio wind up getting axed if that doesn't do anything?
Right.
And it's like, if this fails, does that mean that Sony is done with this? Because this is your studio that you bought to be the showcase for this kind of thing.
I mean, hopefully. I don't have any ill will against the game necessarily, but if this thing comes out bombs, hopefully that is the last nail in the coffin for this type of live service crap. And it's not like I would like. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but if Sony wants to make a new SOCOM or a new Killzone or something, sure, go for it. But don't make it some live service nightmare that has seasons and has all this
the
garbage
battle
associated with
pass
it.
and
Yeah, stuff like that. Like it's just make something good. Period.
Do you think it'd be have better reception if it did have? Let's say they basically decided to do, Halo, but it's marathon, right? It has a single player component. You can play the multiplayer if you want, right?
I'd be more interested, for damn sure. If they were like, hey, I mean, they would never say this, but if they were like, hey, the original guys making Halo are making this thing, it's going to have an online shooter component, like multiplayer, but it's also going to have, a 6 to 8 hour story. That's good. And it'll introduce you to marathon and, all this other stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that would do it for me as well, right?
Right.
The thing is that you're wanting people to invest $40 in this game.
Right.
And you're trying to also get people to pull them away from the game that they're already playing, which a lot of times is free.
Yeah, it's like how can they compete against the game I saw that this compared to most was Apex Legends, and it's like, how can they compete against that? That's free, and that has a somewhat built-in fan base, or like a relationship with Titanfall, and good luck, because it's already been 5 or 10 years, or I think it's like 7 years or something that game's been around. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention the Fortnites and the other things that are around that take up people's time,
Right.
You mentioned the aforementioned Escape from Tarkov that people are already playing. Like
Right.
Hunt Showdown is there as well. Like it's just there's a lot of extraction shooters that are out there already that people are putting their time into. And then the people you're trying to get are new people also. And if they don't even have the console that this thing is on, it's like it's not even like, okay, I wanted to buy the console, whether it's a PS5 or Xbox or whatever, for other games, and then it's like, oh, and then I got to spend $40 on this thing just to play it. It's like, I don't know.
Right.
It's not as steep as asking 70, but it's still a steep ask. When that was one of the problems with Concord. I'm sure they will allow this to go free to play because, again, it's Bungie, and they're not going to just kill it on the vine like that. But man, if it is not a roaring success, and look, what happened with Helldivers 2, where it grabbed the zeitgeist and became the game for like 4 or 5 months before Sony kind of killed the ill will with it with the stupid PSN deal, and then also I think like content was starting to slow down and things like that. That's really hard to do. So expecting this game to do that already is a bit much. But that also had an established thing with it. Also, and then it just has a different type of game that's not out there as much as the extraction shooter. And
it's more cooperative, and it's not quite as in your face about buy the battle pass or
it's also just screams like fun. What do you get most out of it? It's people just doing random shit and getting killed by bugs. I mean, like and they had the most insane, ridiculous premise of democracy and all that other, like making jokes and stuff like that. So like it just felt fun. Whereas this feels like, okay, we're trying to be cool and the art style is kind of neat or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It doesn't have that thing that makes you go, man, okay, I need to play this over something else. And
I mean, it feels like Helldivers almost seemed like more like an accident. This seems more deliberately forced, like, oh, we're trying to be cool and edgy, but it's like, yo, you're just coming off as being like a poser, or like embarrassing somewhat.
I think it will do well initially because it'll get hyped. It's Bungie. They do have time to alpha test this thing, which is something that they didn't do with Concord. Right? You had people you have people that are kind of, most of the people that I've seen talk about this, which I've watched like 4 or 5 different people that went and played it. They all have the same thought of, I don't know what I'm supposed to be excited about with this, but if you like Destiny 1 and you like the way that was when it first started, this feels a lot like that, where they could eventually get to the point where this is going to be okay, where it's going to be fine. Yeah.
There's 2 problems what you just said. I don't know. The first is I don't know why people would be, or what was the first part?
Being Destiny 1, where it's like,
no,
that's
the second one, but I don't know why
it doesn't have the hook, right? The hook that you're supposed to,
That's one problem. But the second problem is, this game shouldn't be like Destiny 1, because that game was a disaster when it came out.
Yeah.
Content wasn't there. The story basically wasn't there. Just offloaded it to some
you
crappy
had to do
website.
the Grimoire cards that that you had to go outside of the game to figure out.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you're like look on some website. Peter Dinklage giving his career performance of the decade and that thing.
To the point where they just replaced him.
Yeah. And gameplay very the shooting was okay or good, but it had like one mission type. It's just like go to this base or go to run through this level, hit ghosts, and then defend them for 5 minutes.
And they did say the missions are going to be based off a menu as well, so it's not like you're not finding it on the map or whatever.
I mean, it's extremely hard to get into now, I think. But why would you play this? Like, if I was going to play something like this, I'd rather just play like Warframe.
That too,
because at least that's been running for 6 decades or whatever, and has all the content.
That's another thing that makes it so hard. There are so many games that already have so many years of content you can go through if you're looking into getting into something like that. Whereas this is starting out, and okay, you get the cool thing of like, okay, I'm on the ground floor, but it's like how many people are going to stick around after the first couple of weeks, a month, or whatever, and then stop.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, obviously, we'll have to see. Wait, it's all the way till September 23rd when it comes out. My brother's birthday. Shout out to him. He streams Escape from Tarkov, so I actually need to ask him if he's been looking at this at all and what he thinks.
He's one of those people.
Yeah.
The scary people.
Yeah, exactly. But he's kind of that target audience, all right? You're trying to get people from that game to move over to this game. And it's like, I wonder, that's so established, ingrained in people. They don't know if they're going to move over the way you want them to. Also, it's my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to her. She's 14 today. So crazy. We're getting up to the high school age already next year. Goodness.
But start freaking out for real.
I'm already freaking out just thinking about like, man, how many years we've been doing this show. And then just that whole time frame of her growing up with that, and it's just like, man, how time flies, right? But yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it. If you have thoughts on Marathon, what you think it's going to do, if you care about this at all. Normally we don't talk about these kind of games that much, but since people are talking about prices all the time now with Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 and all that stuff. Might as well have brought it up here with Sony and Marathon. And speaking of Sony, they did raise the price of the digital PS5 in several regions due to inflation. Because we're already on the Sony kick here. It's going up an increase of 50 euros in Europe. So now the digital edition costs almost just as much as the regular edition. In the UK, it's going up £40 to $429.99 from $389. And you remember they did a price change in 2022. So this is the second time that you've done a price increase, not a price drop, a price increase in the 5 years that almost 5 years the system's been around. I don't know if I'm sure maybe or maybe not Xbox will follow suit at some point. Also Australia went up as well. So any thoughts on this at all?
I mean, it shows that the market is so very in flux because by this time the thing should be going down in price, not up.
Right.
But
I mean, the Switch never went up, but it also didn't go down either. So,
right.
Whereas PS5 and Xbox have both gone up because of the inflation,
So yeah, I mean, it's a consequence of increased material and the systems being very complex, and even like when they make a revision, it's not like, oh, now it's $200 cheaper. Like, it's like, no, it's the same price now, just it's in a smaller box.
Well, and also probably has to do with the volatile nature of this crazy trade war that's going on, and the stuff with China and the US doesn't seem to be going away.
Right.
And most of these systems are being made in China because of the materials.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how that goes, because Nintendo is still waiting. They supposedly now they have revealed when on My Nintendo you can possibly get a chance at a pre-order, right? For the Switch 2, and that's May 8th in the US and Canada. But we don't know when the retailers are going to get a shot at doing the pre-orders quite yet.
Never.
We'll see if we do at this Mario Kart World Direct that is happening on Thursday. So I'd be very surprised if we get done with that Mario Kart World Direct and we don't have any announcement of get the Mario Kart World bundle. Pre-orders are this day. Man, if we're still going another week where we're waiting to see what's going to happen, I mean, yeah, Nintendo can wait. No doubt. He will pre-order this thing even if it's June 4th, right? But still, it's like you got to get some people time to
get money together.
Yeah, figure out if they're gonna have that $450.
Take out a home loan.
I mean, it looks like so far, because they've shipped so many units to the United States and other countries already, that it's probably going to stay at $450 because the president that's there in the United States did drop or pause all the tariffs except for the ones to China for 90 days, and everybody else except China is getting a 10% tariff. So according to Nikkei and some other outlets, that apparently this may cause Nintendo to just go ahead and go out there with the $450 price, and then I guess they will, once they run out of the stock.
That's what I said last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also there's still that thought of, what if they just don't release it in the United States?
No, that would never happen.
I don't think they would either, just because the US is such a huge market. Like, no way, right? Like, as far as like game purchases and all that stuff, it's like, I cannot believe we're gonna be having that. What's going on, Crafty? Good to see you as well. Also, Crafty has his own podcast, Video Game Happy Hour, which we're going to talk about having Crafty on the show here to be on with us, and maybe myself or both of us could be on Happy Hour. We'll talk about that on another outside of the show. But the thing is, it's just interesting to me. Like, Nintendo definitely doesn't want to be dealing with this. We already see what Sony's having to do with increasing prices. Like, can you imagine they put out this $450 for the Switch 2, and then in like 3 months they're going, oh, sorry, we got to raise the price some more. Like, could you see them doing that?
That's exactly what they're going to do. I have no doubt about it.
Man, you know how bad PR that's going to be?
No, they're going to say, no, this is what they're going to do. They're going to sell like the $450 allotment, and then once they sell that, go like, now it's $600. You can thank Trump for that, and then that'd be it.
No, man. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to meet in the middle, and at some point they're just going to be like, okay, the price is $500. It's not moving from there. And like, then you get to the holidays, man. Because one other thing that we haven't talked about yet is that such a weird thing, right? Is this intentional? Is it just because the administration doesn't know what video game consoles are Is it like they don't think video game consoles are important? Like they have excluded. Hold on, give me 1 sec. They've exempted smartphones, flat screen TVs, and computers, but not video game stuff. It's like, really? That's electronics. Like at first it was electronics, then they narrowed it down to those 3 things, and it's like, why not video games?
It's been pretty much said that like Trump hates video games, so I can completely buy him being petty enough for this bullshit to be happening.
I mean,
like
yeah,
he sees it as like a screen. He probably sees it like, this is why we don't live in like Leave It to Beaverland or whatever. It's because GTA 6 exists, or video games are corrupt.
Right. I mean, there was like reports of him wanting to do something against video games or violent video games or whatever it was at one point. But I mean, just like everything else with him, he has a feeling one moment, and then another moment he has another feeling, and then again, we're talking about something that next week all the tariffs could be gone or something. Like, it's just something that's been changing literally daily, man. We have no idea what's going on with this, but it's just insane that you're doing this, and then it's like you go the extra mile of exempting things, and then, man, the Switch 2 getting delayed was on the news that I watch every night. I mean, like, this is national news now that the Switch 2's pre-orders have been delayed in the United States. Like, you think that somewhere somebody would be talking about, maybe we should exempt this as well for 90 days or whatever. Let the Switch 2 come out at their price that they wanted to come out at, and then whenever they decide to do in after that, whatever it is, it's volatile all the time. We'll be interested to see if Nintendo dares during that Mario Kart World Direct to put out a price or put out some kind of, okay, pre-orders are going up for sure. We'll see what happens,
Yeah.
But that's why, like, people were talking about, why didn't you put the press in the Direct? This is exactly why. Because right. Can you imagine them going back to that Direct and it says, oh, Switch is $450, and then people go, what? Why am I paying $550 at checkout for this?
Again, that's the tariff bonus. They should re-put out the Direct and have the prices be TBA.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other funny thing is, the common joke, or one of the more common sexist jokes was in the past was like, a woman can't be president because she'll be so unpredictable about her time of the month. And it's like, what, as compared to Trump? Like,
yeah, I mean,
he changes his mind
guy's
daily.
A walking unpredictability. So
I'd rather a woman be, unpredictable or a little chaotic one time of the month and not 800 times during a day. Yeah,
daily. But look, this guy, whatever that happens with that ultimately, so far Nintendo is still having this system come out on June 5th. We'll see. Maybe they end up delaying it for the United States and it just comes out in other regions as almost like a, hey, stop messing around.
Then I'm going to Canada real quick.
Like, I wonder if Nintendo would dare do that, right? Like, just, okay, we're going to release this in other regions, and because you guys can't get your crap together, we're just not.
Right.
We're just not going to deal with this right now.
It'd be funny.
It would be. It would be interesting if they decided to go that route. I don't think they will, but
right.
But speaking of prices, a lot has also been made about these Switch 2 edition key cards and whether they had the entire game on the actual cartridge or not, which means could you resell them?
Right.
Nintendo did come out and officially announce that the Switch 2 editions have the actual game on the key card and the upgrade, so you can resell them. And also you can resell these key cards for the third-party games that use them because it's not tied to your Nintendo account, it is tied to the actual game. So even though it's essentially just a license to download the game, that license will always be on that cartridge, so you can resell the game, which is good for people that, you know, are still buying physical. Nintendo has not officially, there's a lot of misinformation out there about the whole what is the Nintendo Switch physical price. Nintendo themselves has not said a lip of anything about this. So therefore, until Nintendo themselves says something, I don't want to go down that road about is physical going to be $10 more or $5 more or whatever. Right now, we know Mario Kart World is $80, Donkey Kong $70. The Switch 2 editions vary between $70 and $80, depending on if they include extra content like Kirby, or you don't include content like the Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, which does not include the DLC. So that makes that game $90 if you choose to buy the DLC separately from the Switch 2 edition, which has already got that $10 upgrade. What do you think Nintendo? I mean, obviously Nintendo doesn't care about what you pay. They are charging you $10 for a freaking ad for the Nintendo Switch 2 in Welcome Tour.
Right.
Where do you kind of land on this thing? Like, man, that game is 8 years old. You can't include the DLC?
I land on what I said last week when I said, like, Nintendo seems like they're becoming a lot more of, like, greedy or just, money driven. Like, I don't think Iwata would have put up with this shit. And there's no one, like, I think Reggie's, he was talking about standing up to, like, the Mario guy, Miyamoto.
Yeah.
And Miyamoto wanting to charge for Wii Sports, and Reggie's like, no, like, give it away. Like,
this is the game that's going to get people to buy your console. Yeah.
It's like the only good, one of the few only good things for the Wii that, like, actually demonstrates this technology well. It sure as fuck isn't Red Steel. Like, and Miyamoto just being pissed about it, even like now. And it's like, there's like a fundamental not understanding of the market. And it's like, I'm sure Miyamoto, he's really rooted in, like, the Japanese market and, like, how they buy games. But it's
whenever they lower the price of the console for the Japanese market, So,
but it's also like, go into any Japanese game store. 90% of the games are under like $5 basically. They can get them copying Mario World for Super Famicom for $1 or 100 yen. It's like that doesn't exist in America,
right?
And
no,
if anything, it just keeps going up and up. With retro games and stuff. So I think that stupid demo thing, whatever, the
Welcome Tour
mini game collection, that should be free. That should be pack-in, at least with the first round, the initial people buying the thing. And it just seems like they're becoming like less. Nintendo used to be like magical. The same thing with like Disney.
Yeah,
and Disney lost that a long time ago.
They're doing that more in other things, right? They're doing the Disney thing in, hey, come to our theme parks. You'll get your magic there. Come watch our movies, right?
Like, no, come to our theme parks and spend thousands of dollars,
Right, but you get that cool like moment of, oh man, Nintendo, I love all this old stuff. And they're banking on that nostalgia to try to sell you this stuff. And just feels like, man, it feels like Nintendo of old would have said, okay, you know what? It's been long enough. We made our money on Breath of the Wild DLC. Let's just give it to them all. Give it all to them for 70, right?
Right.
It's an old game. It came out with the original Switch 1, like, and the
Wii U.
Yeah, well, the Wii U, exactly. It was the last.
Right, but Wii still, U. It's a 2-generation old game. Like, imagine if, I'm not talking the online part, but imagine if GTA 5 had come out with actual story DLC for PS3, and for the PS5 version, they're like, no, we're gonna make you still buy it, $20 for the epilogue to Vincent, or not Vincent, but I forget any of the characters' names for that thing, but
it's been a long time.
Like But yeah, it's like here are more like heists, like single player heists or something. But people will be
Yeah.
outraged.
Oh, for sure. It's just, and there are people outraged by this. It's that like fake outrage where you get mad, but it's like, you're going to buy it anyway. So it kind of is what it is. Although, to be fair, it's DLC. You don't have to buy it. It doesn't preclude you from buying the actual game or just getting the $10 upgrade to get a game you already own.
Right.
But look, we'll see if they ever actually exercise the lower end of this variable pricing with games.
My crystal ball saying no, but
I'd imagine that they're gonna try to keep things in the 70 and 80 range because that's what they want the game prices to be. They want them to be at that price. And again, if I'm Take-Two right now, I'm looking at GTA 6 and I'm like, yo, we can easily charge $100 for this thing. Especially because they get to just watch. That system comes out June 5th, and people still buy these games and everything, even though apparently, according to GameStop, there's going to be a lot of systems, but there's not going to be a lot of physical games for you to buy. They're not going to get a lot of games in, apparently. But of course, you don't need that many. You could just go buy it on the digital store. So, we'll see. One positive, I guess, that they're going to make the Zelda Notes app have even more to it. There's going to be a 24-hour like reward that you can roll once a day, and one of those rewards is going to be a weapon repair reward. So the thing that you couldn't do at all in Breath of the Wild, and then of course they did have it to where you could do it with certain enemies in Tears of the Kingdom. Now the bane of a lot of people's existence, you're going to be able to roll and get that reward on using the Zelda Notes app. You think this is going to get people to use that app now?
No,
if you're gonna.
I don't think people are, new fans are going to care, and the people who already really care, they already have like strategies, or they've already built 400.
Yeah, they've already played the game. Right?
Yeah,
I do think it, looking prettier and all that, you are going to get people to go back and play this because that was the problem with Tears of the Kingdom, especially, was, man, there was parts of it where it just ran bad, right? And running better on a new system might get people to be like, okay, I think I'll finally finish that game. Maybe people will check out the Notes app for the GPS or whatever. But hey, look, I'm down with Nintendo's trying to find different ways to use your phone besides giving us games that outside of Fire Emblem, I don't think anybody wants. So, these apps are interesting. It's another way to make your Switch Online thing worth it. Also, if you have Switch Online, you can get all these upgrades, for at least for the Zelda games, included. So I guess that's good. It's another, just very much like the Animal Crossing DLC than they've done with other DLCs where they include it in your Switch Online subscription. So positive on that front. And it's not that expensive considering, for 1 month of PS Plus premium, or 1 month of Game Pass, you can get a whole year of regular Switch Online. So, think about that. Not that bad. Speaking of,
until they raise the price of that as well.
I feel like that one they'll wait as long as they need to, because they're trying to make it such a worthwhile thing that now you have a whole button that you can't use if you're not subscribed to Switch Online starting in 2026. So, maybe that will get people to subscribe because you want to use Game Chat. Speaking of Xbox, they did reveal their summer showcase date. It's going to be June 8th, so 3 days after the Switch 2 launches and 2 days after Summer Game Fest. As is per usual, they usually have it be around Summer Game Fest. So a lot of times it gets included in that, whatever. It will air at 1 p.m. Eastern, and following that will be an Outer Worlds 2 Direct. Kind of neat for Obsidian to have this time slot. They didn't give it to Call of Duty again. They gave it to Outer Worlds 2 here. So
you give it to a worthwhile game.
Well, that's true. You don't need to sell Call of Duty on people. They already know. Like last year made sense, right? You're introducing game that's going to be on Game Pass, all that stuff, So cool that Outer Worlds 2 is going to get that moment. Xbox, if there's one thing they do right, these summer showcases, they nail it pretty well when it comes to these things. For you, it's an hour and a half of a show to watch. Go ahead.
Say what you want about them. It helps that Xbox at least has a dude or has a spokesman. You can
no, they have three. Remember, they have 3 rotating spokespeople.
Yeah, but they have one.
Right. Yes, Phil is the main one. Right, but Sarah Vaughn and Matt Booty do count a little bit there.
Yeah, the girl that Sony has is, let's just say, not great or not charismatic.
She's good, but not. Yeah, doesn't jump. She's not Jack Trenton or.
Right. And Nintendo has a sound effect, so that's all they got going on.
Nintendo just has the, they can have anybody there as long as they do the snap or the click or whatever. You're good. But yeah, so you're gonna, we have this hour and a half show. What games do you feel like they have to show at this thing in order for it to be another winner?
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark.
Fable.
Okay. And I think for sure you better, if you're gonna tell me that Fable got delayed, you better have something to show for Fable.
More pre-alpha footage.
Yeah, not pre-alpha footage. Even though that pre-alpha footage looked pretty good, still, you need to have something to show there. It'd be interesting if you show Perfect Dark last year, do you give Perfect Dark a year off and show off, State of Decay 3, which only got a trailer last year, which had no release date. So interesting to.
They show off Silksong.
It's coming to Game Pass, so you could, right? You could technically show off Silksong. I feel like Gears E-Day has to have a big presence.
Oh yeah.
If it's still supposed to be coming this year, could Everwild, Phil technically addressed Everwild, so will they have an Everwild presence here? To be like, hey, this game's still happening. Don't worry about it. It's still coming. Any other game? I like to see Clockwork Revolution. Like, what's going on with that?
Brute Force 2.
You think we'll get Blade? Silence speaks volumes.
I kind of forgot about it. Maybe it'd be funny though if they had, the Ali voicing him.
I forgot to mention that Marathon, actually, they announced that it's coming on Xbox, and it's still kind of weird that that's a Sony studio, but because of the deal that they signed with Bungie, it's coming to Xbox. So yeah, interesting if that's eventually comes to Switch 2 as well.
Yo, it has to. Like, they can't afford to not put it on the Xbox.
Right, they definitely got to give it all the chances they have. Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see what else Microsoft has cooking that are we going to get the next Double Fine game? You've been asking for that. Like, what are they doing? Is Final Fantasy VII Remake going to finally show up for this thing? Now that Nintendo has broken the seal on the going to other platforms thing, I feel like this is the moment, right? It's probably going to be the same kind of release window as Nintendo.
It'd be fun if they were like, no, it's the Xbox isn't powerful enough to run Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Square has a decent presence here as well. You think we get any surprises from Sega Atlas? Maybe.
No.
They no.
Maybe Sega, maybe like some new Sonic thing, but it won't be Yakuza. Damn sure won't be Persona or Metaphor, anything like that.
I mean, they got to be working on whatever the next Like a Dragon thing is, right? With Ichiban,
right.
I don't think they're doing another spin-off.
If they do, it'll be like,
what is it? That Project Century game, maybe?
Right.
That could be.
If they do, it'll just be like a very quick teaser. It'll just be like Ichiban in the streets of Hawaii again, or doing something dumb.
or whatever next city they go to, or
Baltimore.
Maybe Crazy Taxi or Jet Set could be shown off here because they have that relationship with Xbox from back in the day.
It would be great if they were
Yeah.
like, "Yo, we're gonna put Jet Set Radio Future back out." You know,
Yeah.
'cause that's like the one like that game never got a re-release. Jet Set Radio did, but not Future. And Future is a much better game.
Just to throw this in there, since we're talking about maybe games, Torster Bob did say when they talked with a Canadian guy, a content creator, Paul Yan was on his channel talking about games they would love to make, and he mentions that they would love to make a Banjo-Kazooie.
Sure.
They're
not going to make it, so have them. Yeah.
Yeah, Rare's not going to make it. So if there's anybody that's qualified, man, I'd love Toaster Bob to be making it.
Right.
Nuts and Bolts is kind of like that game that a lot of people don't like. There's some people that do like.
I like Nuts and Bolts is fine, but it's not like the collecting puzzle pieces, fun fighting until or whatever her name is.
It's not the experience that you want when you think about Banjo-Kazooie. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. That would be a really cool surprise if that happens to get released. I mean, there's been rumors about they'll do a big drop with Call of Duty also. Like the old Call of Duty.
They're just going to make a new Conquer finally.
We have a friend that I'm sure would go crazy if there was a big announcement for that.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. So, would be interesting. Yeah, look, we'll see what happens. It's still a few months away. We supposedly this Oblivion remake is going to get announced at any point during this month. I don't know. Or do they wait till the summer showcase to just be like, oh, it's out right now? But we'll see. We'll see if you get anything Bethesda-wise, because, Doom, Dark Ages will have already been out. Will they have anything else cooking? Anything, will they do something else with Starfield? Let's see.
I could see them going like, hey, Starfield Complete Edition.
On PS5.
PS5. Yep.
Yeah. If Last of Us can have a complete edition, why not?
Right.
Just to throw this out there, because I did the write-up for Outer Haven on it, and also I'm supposed to get beta codes. I don't know what happened with that. I did go ahead and pre-register for rematches. This is that slow cap soccer game that they unveiled at the Game Awards that people were like, this is their next game? Okay.
The Rocket League thing?
Yeah, the Rocket League soccer game. It is only $30, but it is going to be on Game Pass day one also. July 19th is when it launches on PC, Series X, and PlayStation 5. The new trailer they showed makes it sound like it's going to be really fun. It's very arcade influenced, but they also want to have some simulation soccer elements to it. So I'm excited to finally get to play this. Whether they're supposed to be doing the first beta next week, but on PC only. They did ask, if I want it on Xbox or PlayStation for whenever they do other betas. So it feels like they're going to do a rollout of betas several times before we get to July. So hopefully I'll get to play it at some point and get to talk about it. But it looks fun for everything I've seen from that.
Sure.
A game that
look forward to the Pele DLC.
Let's see if they do actual people here, messy DLC or something.
Right.
Diablo 4 has a roadmap of 10 to 12 years, says Rod Ferguson. They recently unveiled the roadmap to 2026, but Rod Ferguson was asked how long do they think this is going to go before there's ever a thought of Diablo 5? He said 10 to 12 years. Does that leave you with good feelings on you'll be playing Diablo 4 for a while, or?
I mean, the expansions are fine, but like I looked at the roadmap they announced for like the rest of the year, and it's just disappointing as all hell. And I
Why do you say
really don't
that?
get.
There's nothing.
Yeah, it's like cosmetic. I mean, it's kind of, I don't mind cosmetics in theory, but like it's all the cosmetics in the game right now are just terrible. And it's like I got money in the game because I got like the premium edition, but it's like, well, why would I spend any money in this crap? It's all just so
Right.
basic, and I think they announced like a partnership or like like a third party partnership for like and it's like, yo, I want like I want to be riding like the Coca-Cola polar bear or something cool like that,
I mean, that would be pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
So I don't mind in theory, like if they make meaningful expansions, that's one thing, but I really dislike how they're focused on like the seasonal content stuff,
Yeah.
and because it really doesn't go back into like the main game. So it's like, why would I keep up with seasonal content when after 3 months the season's over and this character just gets drop kicked back to the main game with any of their cool shit anymore, you know?
Right.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm glad to hear that Rob Ferguson has a big, long roadmap for it. Hopefully, a lot of it is better than what they've shown already for you and anybody else that continues to play that game or have a passing interest in it.
Yeah. I still play it every day. Like I load it up, kill like the main boss, or do like a very quick dungeon run, and then I'm done. But like, I already have like a really good main character, so I don't want to create a bunch of alts either.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Like they have you where you have to create the alts and stuff. Lastly here, we're not going to get the full like breakdown of it until next week on the 19th. And then furthermore on these, I'm sure like May the 4th, they might have something as well for Star Wars Zero Company. That's the name of the the turn-based strategy game that's being made over at EA. This got announced along with when they announced the Star Wars Jedi third entry and then that shooter that they've now canceled. This is being made by Bit Reactor, the people that are made from Firaxis Games,
right?
Like kind of cast-offs and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think a Star Wars turn-based strategy game would be interesting, right? Like
they've done it before,
right,
yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, we'll see if they what they have to show on the 19th. And that Andor season 2 is coming pretty quick here as well. So they got a lot of Star Wars.
Did you watch Andor or no?
I've watched like the first 5 episodes and then I forgot to go back, but I did like a lot of what I saw.
Jens is like obsessed with that show.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that love that show. So I'm glad that they gave it the season 2. I am sad that speaking of shows, Mythic Quest was canceled.
Yep.
At least they're letting them have an ending. They're gonna reshoot the ending and then it's gonna be out there next week or something. So it's crazy to think like when they first announced that, I think everybody was laughing about how this is going to be terrible and all that stuff. And then it wound up lasting 4 seasons and very much like all of Apple's stuff. It's like you'll have like the one breakout show and then they have all these other great things on there. And like nobody knows that they're there because Apple doesn't promote their stuff at all. Like I mean, I also don't have an iPhone, so maybe if you have an iPhone, they're constantly bombarding you with like Apple TV. But they did finally release an Android app not too long ago, so that's promising. But then they've also stopped doing it felt like for a while, everybody that I knew on every device thing that I had was doing a free 3 months of Apple TV, and then all of a sudden it feels like this year they stopped doing that. So that's how I would check out content, is that like my LG TV would give me 3 months free, then something else would give me 3 months free, and then it's like I think I had a whole year where I had 3 months free. So it's like but Yeah, that sucks that Mythic Quest getting canceled, but I mean the fact that it lasted 4 years, that's still a testament to them. So,
Yep.
but all right, I guess we can just go ahead and end the show like we always do here, talking about the. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna bring up, speaking of TV crap. Black Mirror finally came back.
Yeah, Black Mirror, and then of course Last of Us season 2 came back yesterday.
And you didn't mention it, or because I don't even think it came back, but Doctor Who came back.
I did not. Now I have to go and watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did such a poor job of letting people know. It's like it's back.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. To be honest, the only thing I watch that's like live TV is sports. So if that does not come on a basketball game or soccer game commercial, I'm probably not seeing it, to be fair. Or it comes on Hulu when they do the ads. Yeah.
Right.
But you're right. Like, I feel like, man, Disney owns Hulu. Like, you would think that they would be plastering Doctor Who commercials, all over that thing.
But it's not even. It's not on Hulu. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, but they all work together. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like they could do ads for it. I mean, maybe on Disney Plus. I don't watch any. Like, literally, I have that bundle, and Disney Plus is the one that I don't watch. So
right,
we'll see. I guess I will get to it now that I know that it's out there. Catch up. But all right, let's get into some of the games that are coming out for this week. Shout out to Repose, which is a cool looking indie game that's like done in black and white, but also kind of looks like an old style, like the 3D games that people should, if you like that kind of stuff, go check that out for sure. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle comes out to PlayStation 5. We'll see if this does well. The pre-orders are supposedly, pretty good for this game. Not as high as Forza Horizon 5, I imagine, but they're supposed to be like neck and neck right up there on the PlayStation stores. So we'll see if people actually wind up enjoying the game and see if it gets any kind of buzz on PlayStation the way it did on Xbox with the, of course, Game Pass helping there. The Lustful photography sim game, that another one of those Annapurna games that is literally about photography, comes out on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. The Monument Valley games come to Switch also. And then, of course, the Lunar Remaster Collection that we talked about comes to everything. If you're a fan of old school RPGs, definitely one to try to support if you can. Also, Tempopo is coming out on Game Pass, but that's that cool like puzzle game that looks like you're controlling like a mushroom or elephant looking thing, and doing like platforming, puzzle platforming sort of. And I'm sure there's some other cool things, but that's kind of like the big highlights for this week.
All right.
Then we're looking at Claire Obscure and some other things like the next week after that. So, but all right, thank you everybody for joining us. Whether you watch live, listen later, watch later, we do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Go like, subscribe, follow wherever you can. That helps us so much. Write a review on the podcast service of your choice. That helps us out a lot. And we'll see y'all later.
Later.
Bye.